his feet. Oh, somehow he's across the 40, over the 30, far sideline, inside the 20, 10, touchdown, 48 yards. Jeremiah Love defies physics once again.
A Heisman moment in a season full of them for the nation's best running back.
I felt no part of my body touched the ground, so I just got back up and just kept on running.
Fresh off a victory in the snow, the Irish turn their attention to the Steel City.
Carr takes the snap, gives it to Price, straight ahead, and he's in. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
With every game a must-win for Notre Dame, do the Pitt Panthers feel the same?
Kenny Johnson into the end zone.
Absolutely not. It is not an ACC game.
This is not a trap game. This is a challenge.
Led by a balanced attack on offense.
For the goal line, runs into a pile, muscles his way in. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
And a suffocating defense.
He's hit, and he's stopped. He's not going to get there.
The blue and gold face one of their toughest tests of the season.
Definitely a challenge, but a challenge that we got nonetheless, and we're ready for it.
It's a dogfight in the blue-collar city of Pittsburgh.
A reminder to prepare the right way, to take care of what we have, and that's what's right in front of us.
It's 9th-ranked Notre Dame versus 22nd-ranked Pittsburgh. This is ABC57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from Acrisure Stadium, with your host, Vahid Sadrazadeh.
It's Notre Dame football live in the Steel City. A gorgeous morning here on the North Shore. Here's a live look at Acrisure Stadium on the banks of the Ohio and Allegheny Rivers, the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are just 2 hours away from seeing the Irish kick off against their next challenge, next opponent on the road to the college football playoffs. Welcome in to ABC 57 Kickoff this morning. I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh coming to you live from Acrisure Stadium. The sidelines here where the 7-2 Irish are getting ready to face their last big challenge of the season, probably their toughest opponent remaining on the regular season schedule. That is the 7-2 Panthers. And with all due respect to head coach Pat Narduzzi, every game is a must-win situation for Notre Dame as they look to get back to the college football playoffs. And you can see behind me the quarterback room just heading to their side of the field. Just the pregame preparations here just starting here at Acrisure Stadium. The Irish fresh off a monster of second half performance over Navy, rival Navy at Notre Dame Stadium a week ago. That final score 49-10. And that win paired with a BYU loss to Texas Tech has Notre Dame vaulting into the 9th position in the latest college football playoff rankings, in the driver's seat to not only make the playoffs but possibly sneak into the number 8 spot, which would mean they would host another first-round game on campus in December. Now, if the season ended today, and this is sure to change over the course of the next couple of weeks, but if the season ended today, they would travel cross-country to Eugene, Oregon to play the 8th-seeded Ducks, with the winner taking on, guess who? The Ohio State Buckeyes at the Rose Bowl. The winner going to the Rose Bowl to take on the Buckeyes. Head coach Marcus Freeman has said repeatedly, we're not thinking about that stuff. Right now, it's all about Pitt here today. They're locked in and ready to go.
Got weapons across the board, and their defense is aggressive, tough, physical, everything you would think of a defense that plays under Pat Narduzzi. I've studied him for years and the things they do, and they're creating a lot of havoc. They're going to do everything in their power to stop the run. So we got to be prepared, and we got to have answers.
Yeah, Freeman going on to say that this is definitely not a trap game, that the talent Pitt brings is a challenge with their freshman quarterback reeling off 6 in a row. But on the flip side of the coin, when asked about how he feels about the game and the matchup with Notre Dame, Panthers head coach Pat Narduzzi had this to say.
Absolutely not. You know, it is not an ACC game. I'm glad you brought that up. It is not an ACC game. You know, I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can.
That is the biggest head-scratcher of all time for me. And, of course, it's been national media news. ABC57 kickoff reporter Talia Abaya joins us live now from the sidelines as well. You've been following this story all week as well. It's a head-scratcher. Gnar, as we like to call him this week, had some gnarly comments to say, downright bizarre. We've been talking about it all week. But still, he's coming in, Talia, with a great offense under that freshman quarterback. And it's going to be a challenge for the Notre Dame defense.
Worthy to note that this is going to be a perfect clash. You know, Pitt's defense is tough. They're very physical, disciplined, but now they're facing a completely different animal. So my big question is, who's going to set the tone early? Because Notre Dame will definitely need to find that rhythm early to make Pitt uncomfortable. I think that's a big key. So it's definitely going to be strength against strength, but it's going to come down to who has that it factor. Through 9 games, Notre Dame's offense has found its rhythm, averaging nearly 462 yards per game.
No matter who's in, you're training them with the same expectations. Like every guy that's in, if you're in, you're on. If you're working as a second teamer or you're working as a third teamer, you're trying to better your best and in some ways set the tone for the whole group if you can.
At the center of it all, quarterback C.J. Carr, who's thrown for over 2,200 yards in 9 games. He's not just putting up numbers, he's shown poise and confidence beyond his years.
You know, you're from Michigan, you're from the Midwest, you've seen the snow, you can do it all. I played in the rain and the snow, and it's not fun. You know, you'd rather be in the sunshine, but, you can handle the situation. We've been there.
And behind him, Jay Love, continuing to build his Heisman buzz, sitting just shy of 1,000 rushing yards with double-digit touchdowns.
I think of the Heisman buzz as a credit to really how good this team is, and how much we've been working to prove to ourselves that we are who we are. Because at the end of the day, it's a team sport. I don't go out there and do anything on my own.
Then there's Jordan Faison, Notre Dame's breakout weapon through the air, already past 540 receiving yards and becoming Carr's go-to target. Add it all up and you've got a balanced offense averaging 6 yards per play, converting nearly 46% on third down, and an offensive line that's allowing just 1.1 sacks per game, keeping Carr clean and this offense clicking.
It's cool to see my guys keep a cool, level head, and I think there's a lot of passion, and there's a lot of love, like it's a brotherhood, like O-linemen talking to DBs, we all hang out like brothers.
So this is definitely going to be a grab your popcorn game, and if they start cooking early, I think it could get really fun and maybe even a little chaotic.
I don't know. I mean, like, if you're the Panthers and you hear your coach say that, when I go to college and I play college D1 football, when I play sports at my level, which is a 45-year-old level, okay? I'm going out there to win the game. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. So that's just a head-scratcher to me right from the get-go.
I don't know. I feel like he could have been sarcastic because as a reporter, I think, is this a must-win game? Maybe it was he's being sarcastic. So I think he was like being sarcastic.
I don't know. We're going to get more in-depth on those comments here in just a little bit. But right now, despite there not being an official rivalry trophy for this game between these two programs, there is actually a lot of history between the Irish and the Panthers, and it goes long back to 1909. This is their 74th all-time meeting. Notre Dame leads it with 51 total wins. Let's go back to South Bend now. ABC57's Dante Stanton picks up our coverage there live in the studio. Dante, you had a chance to speak with the legend, Bob Nagel, about these two teams.
Yeah, Vitalia, I did. It was great to sit down with Bob, an icon, of course, of the broadcasting industry with more than 40 years in the booth for Notre Dame. Bob and I sat down to talk all things Irish and some of his most memorable moments when it comes to this Pitt series.
The one that I just totally fascinated by and remembering is the team that went to Pittsburgh when Dan Marino was the starting quarterback, regarded by many as the best quarterback in the country, and went on to have a great pro career. And we went down there, and Jerry Faust was our head coach. We had a young quarterback named Blair Keel, and we had a veteran running back. We had a kid that was really good, Alan Pinkett. But we went down there, played him on their field, and came away with a win. And it was just one of those things. And, you know, so many people loved Jerry Faust. We're hoping he'd have great success. So when he got that win, it was like, hey, this could happen. And it didn't happen often enough. But it was a big, big win for the Irish.
Can I get your reaction to what Pitt coach Narduzzi said this week about, when he was asked whether or not this was a must-win game, he said he'd be okay if Notre Dame beat him 110 or 103-10 as long as they won the next 2 games. How do you react to that?
Well, it's unfortunate that coaches are made to think that way because of what the amount of money would be if they win the last 2 and lose to Notre Dame. Losing to Notre Dame wouldn't be a bad loss for Pittsburgh. But the coaches that I've known that have been successful, and Rockne and I weren't good buddies, but he was gone long before I got here, but just that mental attitude, Lou Holtz was so great at it. I'm going to tell you something, we don't have to win every game. We have to win every game by 3 touchdowns. You know. First of all, you got to compete, then you got to win, then you got to win by enough. And so you build in certain ways. But Narduzzi's a tough coach. He's a veteran. And in a town like Pittsburgh, you better be tough. I've never been to a banquet for a championship team where somebody didn't get up and say, I love these guys. And you don't hear love in sports enough, I don't think. But the teams that win, that's usually part of the formula.
And you think this Notre Dame team has got that love?
I do, and I thought they had it last year, and Marcus is very strong on that. You know, he's a great example of what you can be as a coach and what this team can be as a championship caliber team.
It's great to sit down with the Irish legend there and get his take on the rivalry. I asked for a prediction and a final score for this afternoon's game as well. Of course, he has the Irish picking up the win. He's also calling for a little bit of a close one, 31-24 Notre Dame. It's going to be a one-score game according to him. In studio, Dante Stanton for ABC57 Kickoff. Vahid, back to you.
Thanks so much, Dante. Always great to catch up with the legend, Bob Nagel. What a day here. It rained earlier this morning on the North Shore in Pittsburgh. Downpoured, actually. I talked to Chris Bassick, who is the head equipment manager for the Irish, and he said they couldn't even see out the bus window on the way to the stadium. It was raining so hard. And he said, but you know what? We'll make do. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon. Not supposed to rain until a little later on today. Both teams out on the field practicing. You can see Pitt with their classic blue and yellow unis, and Notre Dame, the all-whites today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So much more to come here on ABC 57 Kickoff live from Pittsburgh on the sidelines. We're going to check in with the 1966 national champion for the Irish, and also a Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl champ. Terry Hanratty joins us on the show. Plus, who's injured, who's out, who's back for the Irish? Does Donovan Heinrich get the start for the Irish today in his hometown? And we check in with Super Bowl champ Ryan Harris in just a few minutes. You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff live from Acrisure Stadium as we get you ready for Notre Dame and Pittsburgh.
Meteorologist Dave Caulfield here with your game day forecast. And as Vahid mentioned, a pretty good downpour went through the Pittsburgh area, closer to about 7 this morning. But the radar looks a lot friendlier, and the weather is trending drier towards game time. We'll zoom in a little bit here, and in the Pittsburgh area, really not seeing anything on radar. Any blips are well to the south, closer to the state line. And here's the latest run of forecast track. The clouds will be there, the sun trying to break through the clouds, and maybe a little bit breezy at times, but nothing that these teams can't handle. As we look towards the second half and end of the game, there might be an area of light rain that tries to make its way in, but the bulk of the precipitation that might impact the game will happen after everything is over. So temperatures today right around 60 degrees during the game, cloudy skies, a pretty nice day for football, especially if that rain holds off.
Pretty nice day for a soccer game back in South Bend as well. Not just the Fighting Irish football team that has their eyes on a championship this season. Over on the soccer pitch, the Irish women's soccer team has earned itself a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament in the Cup. That means if they keep on winning, the Irish will keep the first 4 rounds of the tournament on home turf.
We've been performing really well, and people are wanting to come watch and are really like staying up to date with like our soccer and our team, which has been really cool and like really special. So to have those fans here, and like Notre Dame has just such like robust community and like loves its athletics, and all the athletes, we all support each other.
The Irish women's team hosts the University of Illinois Chicago tonight, starting at 6 p.m. The best of luck to them, and of course, go Irish. The Irish are here in Pittsburgh to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers, the city synonymous with football. The Steelers winning 6 Super Bowls, making them one of the most successful NFL franchises, and you could say Notre Dame is their college football equivalent. South Bend, historically a football-rich community. You know that. I don't have to tell you that. The Irish winning 11 national titles. And one of those gentlemen that has the distinction of winning both a college football championship with the Irish and a Pittsburgh Steeler, not one, 2 Super Bowl titles with the Steelers in the 70s. Terry Hanratty, he was the quarterback of the 1966 national champion Irish, and he would go on to win 2 with the Steelers in the early 70s with Terry Bradshaw. But in 2020, as the coronavirus pandemic was sweeping the nation, sweeping the world, he received the scare of his life.
For his epic wins on the football field.
The whole key is that you have to take it seriously, because I did everything I thought everything I was doing was right.
Terry Hanratty, now 72, was about to enter the biggest fight of his life off of it.
We sort of narrowed it down to March 24th.
Hanratty, who led the Irish to a national championship in 1966 and was part of 2 Super Bowl titles with the Pittsburgh Steelers, now resides full-time in Connecticut, 40 minutes from Midtown Manhattan, the epicenter of the coronavirus in the U.S. Just one day after receiving a routine B12 shot from his doctor, Hanratty felt the symptoms coming on.
I waited a day. Next day I felt worse. I started getting the temperature, and you get the diarrhea, and you get the stomach ache, you get the headache. Then you figure, is this something big?
Fearing the worst, he went back to his doctor, where he indeed tested positive for COVID-19. Hoping to fight it off with a medication, Hanratty was first sent home.
She called my doctor, and she says, meet me outside her office building. I'll come out to your car. I want to take your oxygen level. And it was so low, plus the temperature, she said, you're going to the hospital now. She called an ambulance right there. It came right to her parking lot.
After spending 6 days in the hospital, he was transferred home in an ambulance. Weakened by the virus, he needed to be carried up the stairs, where he spent 2 weeks in quarantine, aided by oxygen.
Probably the biggest factor of them all was my daughter Erin got me to quit smoking 3 years ago. So had I still been smoking, probably would not have been able to fight off the corona, because I had a double pneumonia plus the corona. And I got my money's worth.
A Heisman runner-up, a national champ, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, and now the most important accolade of his life, coronavirus survivor. Speaking for all of the Notre Dame community and fans, and we're happy that you're on the other side of this now and feeling better.
You can't kill this thing with an atomic bomb. This is a virus that just sort of is out there and just spreads like wildfire. And you really have to be careful.
Well, we're here in 5 years later, actually, sitting with the 2-time Super Bowl champ, the All-American, and, of course, the 1966 national champion, Terry Hanratty. Terry, thanks so much for joining us here on ABC57 Kickoff.
My pleasure, anytime.
Well, we did that story with you a few years ago. I know that's when COVID was just starting, and you had a bout of it. And how are you feeling today?
Well, I feel great. I mean, it's been a while, and at the time I didn't realize how bad it was because COVID had just started. I was fortunate. I was one of the first few guys to get it. I had 103.5 temperature, 83% oxygen, and I had a double pneumonia also. So I was pretty sick. I was in the hospital for 5 days. But, I came out and all's good. I walked about 4 or 5 miles a day and, tried to keep things up and keep moving.
Well, good. It's good to see you certainly healthy and moving, and we're past that era, thankfully, for the most part.
We hope so.
we certainly hope so. So great to see Terry is doing well. We had the opportunity to catch up with him about a various number of topics this week. So we asked him about Notre Dame, his thoughts on head coach Marcus Freeman. Of course, a lot of buzz this week about is he being offered more money by NFL franchises? We'll see. The Irish coming into the Steel City to play the Panthers. What a gorgeous morning. What a gorgeous day to play college football. A big one here in the Steel City as the Irish are getting warmed up at Acrisure Stadium to take on the Pitt Panthers. We'll be right back with more of ABC 57 Kickoff live next.
Claps for the rock and turns and hands it off to Love. He's hitting the backfield again. Spins out of the first tackle. Has to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage. He's still on his feet. Oh, somehow he's across the 40, over the 30, far sideline, inside the 20, 10, touchdown!
That the show-stopping performance by Fighting Irish star running back Jeremiah Love. You could call it a Heisman moment. And he's down there warming up with his teammates, with the rest of the crew here as the Irish are wearing the all-whites today against a Pittsburgh team coming in with some wind, some sail at their back, 6 in a row. But it's Jeremiah Love who had that Heisman moment last week over Navy. And joining us now on the sidelines, a man that needs no introduction, but we're going to do it anyway. Notre Dame offensive lineman, graduated in 2007, world champion, Super Bowl 50 with the Denver Broncos, and now serves as the color analyst on the Notre Dame radio network. My good friend, Ryan Harris.
Hey, great to be here. Fantastic intro. All we're missing is like the
All right, Ryan, I have to ask you a question. We were just talking about Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
He's down there warming up. Obviously, he's in so many Heisman Trophy conversations. I want to know, what are your thoughts on him? What makes him so special?
Well, he's a first-round pick, and what makes him special this year has been his determination. He's always had the speed. He's always had the vision, but his determination has willed this offense forward, especially taking a lot of pressure off of C.J. Carr. So we're seeing a successful C.J. Carr because he can rely on Jeremiah Love, and the way that Jeremiah Love leads his team is a big difference for Notre Dame.
Man, and it's Jadarian Price, too. I mean,
and he wants him to score a touchdown.
Right.
Like, that's rare. I mean, I've been in a lot of locker rooms. Never have I heard two running backs like, oh, go get another one. You go get another one. You go get another. And then they go do it. So it's a unique room. And it says a lot that Jeremiah Love is top 10 in rushing at Notre Dame in history.
Well, check this stat out. I did some research this week, okay?
All right.
Just call me stat boy.
The internet's working.
Since 1998, 5 running backs only have hoisted the trophy. And we're talking about the Heisman Trophy. Ricky Williams, Ron Dane, my guy from Wisconsin.
All right.
Reggie Bush in 05, Mark Ingram in 09, Derrick Henry a decade ago in 2015. So with a couple of games left in the regular season, is he a true Heisman contender? And what does Marcus do with him? Because I know he wants to save him for this stretch run. He got injured last year. How do you balance those carries with the Heisman contendership?
Well, first, against Pittsburgh today, you're going against one of the best rushing defenses, so you want him to go and prove it against the team that has a staple of, no, we stop the run. Okay, go have 200 yards against Pittsburgh today. He's going to be in that Heisman Trophy candidate conversation. And the other thing, too, is you're going to have some help. I mean, because of the way Notre Dame lost and because he didn't get a lot of touches in that Miami game and didn't have the production in that A&M game, there's not really a lot that people can point to and say, oh, he's the reason why Notre Dame's been so successful. So that's on the coaches to call the run, RTB, run the ball, and then to do it again.
Absolutely. So, C.J. Carr, let's talk about him. He's been amazing.
Yeah, he's no slouch either.
What is it, 19 touchdowns?
Yeah.
19 touchdowns. I want to hear your thoughts about him so far this season.
Well, first of all, he's got incredible accuracy. And anytime a quarterback can drop a ball down from 40 yards away, you got to put him in a game, right? So he's come in, and I think if you look at what C.J. Carr has done, he's had every experience you could possibly have. He's on the road in a hostile environment. He's made mistakes and learned from them. He got rid of the intentional groundings that he was so good at early on in the season, and he's the best quarterback I think Notre Dame's had since Brady Quinn. He elevates everybody. He throws to multiple different receivers. Most freshman quarterbacks, they're throwing to one receiver and their tight end, not C.J. Carr. Everybody's happy in that wide receiver room.
Well, speaking of a Brady, Tom Brady, the Hall of Fame quarterback, soon to be enshrined, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, had some good compliments for him, comparing him to Joe Burrow of LSU this week. That's high praise from a dude that knows how to win.
I'd see C.J. Carr as an elite passer. He will be playing on Sundays. He's going to be, he's a little short. At the same time, he makes plays. And so, to me, what you're looking at is an incredible, and we stole him from Michigan now, right? Let's always remember that. So we stole him from Michigan. He's produced. And to me, he'll be playing on Sunday. It reminds me a lot of like a Sam Darnold, how he's playing now. The ability to get under center, the ability to create some plays with his feet. And that's a dangerous, dangerous weapon at quarterback in addition to the accuracy.
Very quickly before we go, I know you're going to pick Notre Dame, but who is the X factor? Who is the person to watch today against this high-flying Pitt offense?
I think it's going to be Jeremiah Love. I mean, if Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price can have 200 yards rushing combined, this game is not close. Now, I'll tell you what. They got a quarterback there at Pittsburgh, so the defense is going to have some plays. So I'm looking for Leonard Moore and Tay Johnson to have a big game as well.
Man, you're the man. Thank you so much for
always
making
great
time
to
for us.
join
He was
you.
running up and down the sideline.
Go Irish. Hey, I got my steps in. Got my steps in.
Ryan Harris on the radio network right after, at noon they start their broadcast. So that's coming up as well. For Talia Baya, Ryan Harris, I'm Vahid Sadarzadeh. We are live on the sidelines of Acrisure Stadium. We're going to be right back with more of ABC 57 Kickoff right after this.
Rolling left, he's in trouble. He's hit. Osbury poked it free. It's loose and recovered by Navy at the 12, but give Osbury a sack.
Well, an incredible performance from the Fighting Irish defense, slamming the door on Navy despite being down some key defenders. Now they're shifting from stopping the triple offense of Navy to locking down a freshman quarterback who's won 6 in a row. We are live in the Steel City, high atop Pittsburgh and the North Shore at Acrisure Stadium. Vahid Sadarzadeh, Talia Baya joining us once again. And we've been hyping up Notre Dame's offense. We just talked to Ryan Harris for 5 minutes about Notre Dame's high-flying offense. But it's really the defense that's going to lock down this game for Notre Dame. On the defensive side of the ball, they've been playing much better under Chris Ash. What are you seeing as of late?
Well, yeah. Hey, the defense deserves their flowers, too. I mean, it's all about shutting down their opponents with them and also flipping the momentum, because right now they're holding their opponents to around 335 total yards every game. So what does that mean? If you're trying to run the ball on them, good luck. Yeah. So this group, I think, really knows how to lock in, dig deep, and make those stop when it matters most. Leading the way is linebacker Drake Bowen, already piling up 25 solo tackles and 2 sacks, a figure whose presence anchors this unit and keeps the front 7 humming.
If you lose, you're done. We just got to get better today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and then you go out and perform on Saturday.
Opposite of him is Kingston Villamuasa.
He's hit and he's stopped. He's not going to get there. Turnover on downs.
Emerging as a force in his own right. 22 solo tackles, 3 sacks, and an interception on the year.
I've learned that it's never going to be perfect, but all that matters is that you keep showing up, and that's what we talk about, being relentless and giving your all for your teammates.
He shows versatility, attacking the run, beating blockers, and dropping into coverage when needed.
I feel like I have an obligation to give my all every play that I'm out there for the people next to me.
And now don't overlook Jaden Osbury. He's already recorded 41 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks through 9 games. His ability to make plays behind the line of scrimmage is what elevates this defense.
Once the ball snaps, it's football. You got to play fast, play violent. That's what we talked about all week.
Together, these 3 form the backbone of a unit that's defending third down at a 37.5% clip and holding foes to just 40% conversion on 4th downs.
Each and every week it's the same thing, go out there and win and achieve team glory.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but a challenge that we got nonetheless and we're ready for it.
The era of The linebackers, I'm telling you, Vahid, these guys are different, and that consistency just doesn't magically happen. I think it's a showing of how they show up every week. So definitely keep an eye on those three. It will be a straight-up battle. Okay, what are you about to say?
No, it will be a straight-up battle. It will be a straight-up battle. I'm just looking back here. I'm looking at Chris Ash just staring at the Pittsburgh offense. I don't know. Do we have a shot of it on the other camera? Chris Ash is standing right here on the near sideline, and he is literally staring down the offense from Pittsburgh. And speaking of Pittsburgh offense, Tony Dorsett, the Hall of Famer, the legend, was right here off camera here. He's shaking hands, doing autographs, taking pictures, and Aaron Donald getting his number retired here as well. So, yes, defense, huge as he's standing there watching what's happening. Well, let's go to the on-the-men injury report because Notre Dame without some key players today, a lot of players questionable over the last couple of weeks. One of those, team captain and Pittsburgh native Donovan Heinisch. He is still officially listed as questionable after missing out on last weekend's victory over Navy. Heinisch is still in concussion protocol after taking a big hit during practice last week. Who knows if he's going to play, because guess what? The photo that was just released on Notre Dame football is the all-white unis in the locker room. This was on Twitter this morning, just an hour ago. They are wearing the all-white unis, and guess whose uniform that was? Donovan Heinisch, number 41. So will he be making the start today? Well, I know his family and the home crowd would love that as well. Also questionable, the defense, well, this is not questionable. He is out. Lineman Gabe Rubio once again. He's been out recovering from a left arm injury for the past month. This afternoon marks Rubio's fourth game since he's been injured. His eventual return obviously would be a major boost for this defensive line. Next on the injury report is special teams recently demoted kicker Noah Burnett. I don't know if he wants to kick on this field anyway. Yeah. He's out with a hip injury. Burnett was removed as the starting kicker after that lackluster performance against Boston College. You saw that a couple of weeks ago. Freshman Eric Schmidt has been taking the kicks ever since.
Hey, my X factor. He went 7 for 7
Hey,
last game.
Nice work. 7 for 7 on extra point attempts against Navy. And then Jaden Greathouse. We've been waiting on Jaden Greathouse to make a decision on him. What's he going to do? Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And here's my take on Jaden Greathouse. He has been out, obviously with that injury, the hamstring injury. And again, that will slow anybody down. Yep. But if they're trying to redshirt him, they're not going to play him for the rest of the season because he has appeared in 4 games. He can appear in the playoffs if Notre Dame makes it to the playoffs because it doesn't count in that space, but they are missing him. I think they are missing Greathouse in the slot and obviously on the outside.
Absolutely. We would love to see him.
Well, head coach Marcus Freeman talking about the injury and his recovery and how it's going.
JG is putting in so much work on trying to get that hamstring to where it needs to go, where it needs to be. We last week had to extract some blood from his hamstring just because, part of the healing process, some blood build up, you got to extract it and continue to get that muscle stronger. And mentally, he's been in a good place. Like he's as frustrated as anybody. He wants to be out there, and so, we got to just keep working, and then we'll see what happens here in the next days, weeks, depending on how he heals.
Also questionable this week, tight end Cooper Flanagan. We've been waiting for his return as well. That is one part of the Notre Dame offense that I think has been lacking over the last month or so, is that tight end position. Of course, in goal-to-go situations as well. And Micah Gilbert, he has been moved off the injury list this week, so he is definitely playing this week. That'll be big for the Irish as well. It's a beautiful day for football in the City of Champions. You got a little learned lesson on not calling it just the Steel City, but the City of Champions. When we come back, we sit down with Steelers champ and Notre Dame legend Terry Hanratty on his thoughts on C.J. Carr and Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. We'll be right back on ABC 57 Kickoff. The city of Pittsburgh, a live look high atop the stadium, Acrisure Stadium, and you can see Pittsburgh in the background. Turning out to be what is a gorgeous day for football with temperatures nearing 60 degrees. A lot of fans making that 5.5-hour drive from South Bend to Pittsburgh. A former Irish player, all too familiar with the Steel City, quarterback Terry Hanratty. But before he landed in the NFL, he talks about his 1966 championship-winning season with Notre Dame.
That 66 was a magical year. I mean, the only real question marks that Notre Dame had was myself and Seymour. Two sophomores that are starting their first game in their first season. Back then you couldn't play as a freshman, anybody. And so that was the question. But we had a great offense around us. We had a great defense that got us always great field position. So, we did our job and everybody else did. So, and it was turned successful. And Aaron was spectacular. I mean, he was, he gave me the ball. He called me in the office. He said, no matter what happens tomorrow, the first game, you're the quarterback. So I walked out there feeling pretty good. But when you look back, you say, wait a minute, maybe if I threw 3 picks, would he really keep me in there? But we hope to think so.
Well, and you got another young guy today. You fast forward and you're in 2025 and you have a freshman that is starting at quarterback for Notre Dame, and C.J. Carr, and he had a couple of rough games to start his career. What have you seen out of C.J. here in his first year at the helm, and what kind of advice would you give him?
Well, nowadays things are different. When you're starting now, he's 20 years old. Back then we were 18 when we started our first game. There, it was right out of. I mean, there was no such thing as a COVID year. There was no such thing as redshirting, and you couldn't really play that extra year. So you started as a freshman, did your penance there and got beat up by the varsity for a year. Then you were able to start, as a sophomore at 18 years old. But I like him a lot. I think he's really good. He's from a family of football, number one. That helps a lot. Grandpa was really good. I know I met CJ when I was out there a couple years ago. And I asked him, I said, how the hell did you get away from your grandpa at Michigan there? But, he always had the love for Notre Dame, and, the recruiting was great. And he has a real good head on his shoulder. That's the most important thing. I think he makes really good decisions. And I think Mike Denbrock is a perfect offensive coordinator for him, because Mike, I think, explains things very well. And, Mike is strong, and, he's been around a while, so he knows young quarterbacks. And I think, and you can see each year, or each game, CJ's getting a little better, a little more positive about his decisions, and that's good. He's got a big arm. He can throw the ball. He can hit that 18-yard out. He can throw the ball 30-40 yards down the field, and that's what you need. You need a quarterback who can stretch the defense when needed. The pressure, I would say, is not entirely on his shoulders, which may be a good thing, because you have two guys in the backfield that can go off at any time. You have a Heisman Trophy candidate in Jeremiah Love, so it takes a little bit of that pressure off of his shoulders. I've never seen a college team with those two kind of running backs. Price and Love are just phenomenal. And, you flip a coin. I mean, I think, Love is more the spectacular runner. And that move he made the other day was just incredible. And you've seen some other ones where he's jumping over people. And they're both very tough kids who can run inside and out. You don't see that a lot. And to have those on one team, and you hate that they both have another year, but I don't think Notre Dame can put the blue and gold on them next year, because they're going to be too high in the draft. They're wonderful. I mean, they're great at weapons to have in your backfield. And the receivers, I think, are getting a little better. And I would like to see Notre Dame throw more slow screens. There's a bubble screens and that sort of stuff, and get the ball to the tight end more. The kid is really good. So that I think that could be a real weapon. With Terry Hanratty, we ask him his thoughts on current head coach Marcus Freeman and getting some attention from the NFL and some other head coaching opportunities in college football as well. We are live at Acrisure Stadium getting you ready for Notre Dame and Pitt. And yes, all you need is Love. Jeremiah Love hoping to continue his Heisman campaign. The stars are out today. Tony Dorsett, the Hall of Famer.
He's here, retired number at Pitt. Of course, Hall of Famer, the Dallas Cowboy running back, and Aaron Donald, the defensive end for the Rams, who played here at Pitt. He's having his number retired here, right here today. It all goes down. Notre Dame and Pitt. More of ABC 57 Kickoff when we come back.
True Notre Dame spirit tomorrow. Here we go with the Let's Go Irish. Together we say,
Hugging for like Antarctica.
Let's go Irish!
Are you ready? Where's our next stop?
Pittsburgh, let's go.
We are AD.
I mean, I don't know if we've ever left this early.
Let's go Irish!
The land. Let's go.
Louder, louder.
How many more hours?
Steel City. We are 3 hours and 20 minutes left.
Let's go Irish!
We made it to Pittsburgh.
Coming in hot.
Let's go Irish! One more time.
Come along with us inside.
We are clean and deep.
We're posted up.
Our museum opened in 2022. The idea behind this was to bring the history to all of our fans and to commemorate that and preserve our history. So you'll see our old Bumblebee jersey there. This is what we call our early years. A lot of what you see here on his desk is stuff that he had in his office. His gold jacket that's on the wall there is the only Hall of Fame jacket that we display here in the museum. This wall highlights all of the different draft picks here of Rocky Blyers. This is our 70s room. This is where the dynasty became the dynasty. We're celebrating the anniversary this year, the 50th anniversary of the Terrible Towel. This year we highlight the 20th anniversary of Super Bowl 40 in 2005 in this location. Western Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, rich history in football, and we show you that here in our museum.
One of the oldest establishments in the city of Pittsburgh called Primanti Brothers.
It's giving history. I got the pastrami and cheese.
Our new friend over there said you have to have an ice light with it, which is like a beer, but we're saving the beers for tonight.
I don't even know how to attack this.
Coleslaw.
My gosh.
So I got the Pittsburgher.
It's already falling apart on me. All right. It's a 10. Legit.
No to Primanti Brothers. Come to South Bend. The Duquesne Incline.
There's the stadium. That's what pulled us up. One hand egg crack. That's legit.
People started bringing towels. They developed the Terrible Towel. We started the Hall of Honor classes in 2017.
So it was named by a kid in the bar.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the cheerleaders and the leprechaun.
On his feet. Oh, somehow he's across the 40, over the 30, far sideline, inside the 20, 10, touchdown, 48 yards. Jeremiah Love defies physics once again.
A Heisman moment in a season full of them for the nation's best running back.
I felt no part of my body touched the ground, so I just got back up and just kept on running.
Fresh off a victory in the snow, the Irish turn their attention to the Steel City.
Carr takes the snap, gives it to Price, straight ahead, and he's in. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
With every game a must-win for Notre Dame, do the Pitt Panthers feel the same?
Kenny Johnson into the end zone.
Absolutely not. It is not an ACC game.
This is not a trap game. This is a challenge.
Led by a balanced attack on offense.
For the goal line, runs into a pile, muscles his way in. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
And a suffocating defense.
He's hit and he's stopped. He's not going to get there.
The blue and gold face one of their toughest tests of the season.
Definitely a challenge, but a challenge that we got nonetheless, and we're ready for it.
It's a dogfight in the blue-collar city of Pittsburgh.
A reminder to prepare the right way, to take care of what we have, and that's what's right in front of us.
It's 9th-ranked Notre Dame versus 22nd-ranked Pittsburgh. This is ABC57 Kickoff, presented by Aftent Dental, live from Acrisure Stadium, with your host, Vahid Sadrazadeh.
It is a gorgeous day for Fighting Irish football in the Steel City, and you are taking a live look at Acrisure Stadium. The students have piled in. Those who are outside are coming in. This is a star-studded event, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, a sold-out crowd they announced on Tuesday. Just under an hour from kickoff, the latest test for the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish, taking on the 22nd-ranked Pittsburgh Panthers, who come in on a tear. Welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff at 11 o'clock. I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. Soon the 7-2 Irish will face their latest, possibly the last real test of the regular season here at Acrisure Stadium on the road to the college football playoff. Notre Dame coming in with 7 straight wins, and coming in from that win, big win over Navy at home last week, winning by nearly 40 points. Now they're facing the Pitt Panthers, who have a freshman quarterback who's on fire himself. 6 wins in a row, and after some choice words from the Panthers head coach Pat Narduzzi, head coach Marcus Freeman has his team ready to play very physical football today. But this just isn't a chance to impress the College Football Playoff Committee. You've heard the buzz all week. Is head coach Marcus Freeman possibly entertaining the thought of going to the NFL? What about some other colleges that are interested? Well, earlier this week, he was asked if what he thinks about it and what he thinks his team thinks about those rumors. Here's what he had to say.
Because somebody else might be saying my name's up for whatever job or being considered, that isn't the noise that I'm going to put in my head, or that is my noise. And so I can address it directly, indirectly, but if I'm going to spend time talking about something like that, I got to make sure it's in a way that it's beneficial for the players.
Well, back in January, there was some buzz. The Chicago Bears may have some serious interest before eventually signing a deal with Ben Johnson. At the time, Freeman said it was humbling for an NFL franchise to take interest, but his success comes from his players' success. And his focus is on Notre Dame, which Freeman echoed earlier this week. Well, star running back Jeremiah Love saying this week has been entirely focused on getting them ready for Pitt.
We're sticking to our principles. We think of ourselves as a very violent team, a team that's going to, just be very physical from the get-go of the game. So he just kind of made sure that we understood, what type of team that we are. Made sure we understand the standard that we need to play to.
Action pass, throw it to the flat, picked off! Panthers get a pick 6.
Sean Lee Jr. sees through the number 2 receiver and just baits the quarterback to throw it right to him.
That was Bill Hargrove and color analyst Pat Bostic on the call on the Panthers radio network. Pitt coming off that cross-country road win over Stanford last week, and we're joined now by Pat Bostic, former Pitt Panthers quarterback, played in one of the most memorable games in Notre Dame Pitt recent history. This series has been going on since 1909, Pat, and that quadruple overtime thriller at Notre Dame Stadium. I'm sure a lot of Notre Dame fans remember, and a lot of Pitt Panther fans remember that one.
Yeah, it's a fond memory for sure for me and for my teammates and a bunch of Pitt fans. I'm sure not so much for the Irish, but I'll tell you, growing up, in an Irish Catholic family, and my grandparents were huge Notre Dame fans. That was my first time ever there. To start at quarterback and come out with a win was a memory that I'll cherish for the rest of my days.
But it's not an ACC game. I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next two after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can.
I do have to ask you the question because Pat was asked the question earlier this week during his press conference, almost like the elephant in the room. But he answered that question with it's not a must-win. Not a must-win situation for the Pitt Panthers because it's not an ACC game. Walk us through that statement. What did Pat mean by that? And are people taking it out of context?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I don't think it probably didn't come out the way he wanted it to. He does speak from the heart, which is why we love him here. He's one of us, but I would say that he's trying to really relay to his guys that obviously this is a huge opportunity to play a top 10 Notre Dame team that has some of the best players in the country, maybe the best tailback, perhaps the Heisman favorite, Jeremiah Love. And, at home, a noon game with a College game day there. And I think all the people around this program, fans, alums, students, are all telling all the players how important it is. When I think to the players, it's important that they're loose and cut it loose when they hit that field here, at noon on Saturday. So I think it's a message more so to his players. But I know that Coach and watching them practice throughout the week, I know how important this game is. And his mantra is typically going 1-0, so every game is a must-win.
When you look at Notre Dame's offensive attack, a lot of teams have been trying to stack the box against Notre Dame, since week 0. And we've seen it. They want to slow down Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and make C.J. Carr beat them over the top. You guys come in with a very solid, I say since Miami or Texas A&M, one of the most solid defensive backs that Notre Dame has played. What is the defensive strategy for Pittsburgh this weekend against Notre Dame's offense?
Yeah, I think one of the unique parts of this game is that, for the Notre Dame teams, all 4 of them that have played Pat Narduzzi in the past at Pitt, and then when he was at Michigan State, the defense really hasn't changed. I'm sure there's definitely nuances, and their personnel allows them to do some different things on third down, but stacking the box or structured to stop the run isn't a departure from what Pitt already does. They're a 4-cross, 2 split safety quarters defense. Safeties are, extra linebackers and effectively in one-on-one situations in the passing game. So that won't be a new component of Pitt's game plan. Obviously, the challenge will be much more difficult with how well Notre Dame's able to block, and then obviously Jeremiah Love and Price and what they can do in terms of being their own blocker.
Where do you think that Pitt has the advantage, and where do you think they could make some headway and get the upset here?
Yeah, I think starting fast will be important. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of energy in the building. This will be a sold-out environment. There's a lot of hoopla around it. Pitt has gotten off to fast starts each of the 5 games that Mason Heinchel, the true freshman, started. I do think when I look at this is not taking anything away from anybody that Notre Dame's played. I think this is the most dynamic passing attack that Notre Dame will have faced with Pitt. A lot of motions and shifts, a lot of man coverage beaters, and Notre Dame likes to play their share of man cover 1. I'll be very interested to watch how that plays out, and can Pitt hold up against that front 4, which is so good for the Irish. But certainly getting Mason Heinchel settled down into the game. Both freshman quarterbacks for that matter. I mean, C.J. Carr, a redshirt freshman, and obviously the true freshman, Mason Heinchel. And then the kicking game. I mean, Notre Dame's special teams are impressive. They have a lot of starters on special teams. They've obviously struggled to put it through the uprights at times. Pitt has a true freshman kicker that's been terrific, and they've had their share of special teams splash as well. So I just think there are key matchups in every phase. Notre Dame is as good a team as Pitt's going to play all year and one of the better teams in the country. They've rallied since stumbling early and are playing much better football. They have a lot of young people at a lot of key positions, including up front. This is going to be, I think, a heck of a football game, and I think the advantage for the Panthers is if they can protect the quarterback. Aside from some of the matchups that Notre Dame will lock down for sure, Pitt's slot receivers and Desmond Reed, the tailback on linebackers and safeties, will be very interesting to watch.
We really appreciate you jumping on the call with us. I know it's a busy week for you, and we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll see you there.
Yeah, sounds good. Pat Bostic joining us here on the Panthers Radio Network on ABC57 Kickoff. Thank you to meteorologist Dave Caulfield, who's back there in South Bend watching the boards. And it looks like Cooper Flanagan, the latest report is Cooper Flanagan's out. Jaden Greathouse is also out. But Donovan Heinisch looks like he's going to suit up for Notre Dame, which is big, coming up at 12 noon against Pitt. Talia joins us here once again. Talia, you've been following some of the trends on social media this week. You do every single week, but in no small part due to head coach Pat Narduzzi, the Nar Man, as we like to call him.
Yeah, no, the buzz all week has been him. He's been causing some ruckus, but it's also been, of course, the college football playoff rankings. Notre Dame comes in at number 9, and that didn't make fans too happy. Why? They can't get over those 2 losses, Miami and Texas A&M. But they're also picking up some traction for not being in a conference. I asked Marcus Freeman about this earlier in the week. He wasn't too happy with the question. He literally looked at me and was like, I am just focused on Pitt. I don't know what else to tell you. I am just focused on Pitt. But other than that, I was scrolling all week and getting the best takes. So take a listen. Of course, the biggest reaction every week is going to be after the CFP rankings drop. Notre Dame landing at number 9, stirring a lot of controversy with opposing fan bases. The most popular tweets of the week: of Notre Dame's 7 wins, 3 have come against the last place teams in the ACC, Big Ten, and SEC, BC, Purdue, and Arkansas. Teams that are combined 0-18 in league play and 5-24 overall. Another one with 500,000 views. A 10-2 Vandy should make the CFP over 10-2 Notre Dame. A U-Miami beat reporter even writing, Notre Dame, 2 losses, 1 ranked win, equaling number 9. Miami is 2 losses, 2 ranked wins, and a head-to-head win over Notre Dame and equaling number 16. Make it make sense. Now, even Texas Tech's head coach took a jab at the Irish for being independent.
I was really excited whenever they joined the Big 12 because I think that they carry a lot of weight and a lot of respect. I think that I have a lot of respect for them entering a conference and not playing an independent schedule like other people.
My take. I think it's so interesting that everyone's calling Notre Dame overrated. They shouldn't be in the top 10. They're a 2-loss program. If Notre Dame is so overrated, why does every college football program want him as their head coach? And now maybe even the NFL. And probably the most wild video of the week, Pitt's head coach admitting this isn't a must-win game.
Like this is a must-win for this team when it comes to something.
Absolutely not. It is not an ACC game. I'm glad you brought that up. It's not an ACC game. I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10.
Great. We'll beat them 110 to 10. Fantastic. But by the way, do you know that's the last 2 games that Notre Dame and Pittsburgh have played? That's been the final score.
Really?
What he said that score was. There's Jeremiah Love right here.
But
you want to see his dad?
I wish I had my phone for that. But I have to say, first things first, I don't understand why Notre Dame gets so much hate from these coaches, from players, because every team wants him. Penn State reached out. I'm sure LSU would pay him millions. They probably don't want to go there. Florida reached out. And then also the Giants are also reporting to want him.
A lot of teams are going to be on the hunt for a new head coach, and Marcus Freeman's name is certainly going to come up. Jeremiah Love giving his dad a hug. Here he comes. The Fighting Irish are taking on Pitt. Their playoff chances ride on the next 3 games, and today certainly starts that home stretch. We'll be right back on ABC 57 Kickoff. A gorgeous day in the Steel City. Fans making their way to Acrisure Stadium to see the Pitt Panthers host the 9th-ranked Irish here in the North Shore. It was a rainy morning, but now the clouds have cleared just a bit. Sun's coming out, and the Irish continue their path to the playoffs. Head coach Marcus Freeman, the rumors to open coaching jobs are tied together, and they have been a hot topic all week long. We continue our conversation with former Steelers and Notre Dame quarterback Terry Hanratty, who talks about the job Freeman's been doing in South Bend.
Well, you went from one football tradition to another, going from South Bend to Pittsburgh, and talk about playing in the 70s in Pittsburgh and the fans there, and maybe even relating the two, South Bend and Pittsburgh, two blue-collar cities, and playing for the tradition like the Steelers and winning 2 championships there.
Well, it's an interesting deal because I was Airport Segan's first recruiting class. Then I was Chuck Knowles' first draft class. So it was interesting to see the two. The two had 2 different ways of doing things, but both were great ways of doing it. There's more than one way to do things, and they both chose their way, and they're both highly successful at it. I mean, Air had much more of a personality about him, and Chuck was more cutthroat. Did not cut to the bed. He's more fundamental about everything, and everything is black and white with Chuck. There's no gray area, and but it was wonderful to do, and it had they're the same. Notre Dame as opposed to the Rooney family. Both are wonderful Irish, Fighting Irish, and it was a great transition and an easy transition. I think playing in Pittsburgh for the Rooney family was just phenomenal. I mean they were great people. And one thing about Art Sr., founded the team, and when he'd come into the locker room after every game, and you never knew by him whether you won or lost. If you come in, if you lost a game, you played a great game, we'll do better next week, blah, 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 blah. Never yet ranting and raving, yelling and screaming. And that was what I really liked about the whole Pittsburgh organization. Chuck Nolan never yelled and screamed. If you made a mistake, you talked about it and tried to correct that mistake. Same with Eric. If you made a mistake, he never singled you out in front of your whole team, especially the quarterback. And he used to do that. The other guy before, I won't even mention his name, before Marcus, he used to call everybody on the sideline, yell and scream into the camera face, see how tough he was. But everybody, it's a team game, and your quarterback is your leader. You can't berate your leader in front of your whole team. You have to talk to them, and you in this day and age, I think you have to talk to everybody. Nobody wants you to yell and scream. Nobody wants you in their face, especially when they know there's 20 million people watching on TV. You don't want to be at the end of that conversation.
What do you think about the job that Marcus has done these first couple of seasons? I
got to go back to Airport Segan to see what Marcus has done. Maybe some loopholes thrown in there, but other than that, I don't think, because you look at Notre Dame's always going to recruit the top line kids, but the depth that we haven't had in years. I mean, we've had a lot of injuries this year, and it's not falling off a lot. Our center went down, they put a guy in, he's playing great. It doesn't not that way in every position, but that's what's happening. And I think Marcus has done a great job of recruiting. And it takes a young, really tough guy to recruit, because that's a lot of work on the road. And Marcus, he gives the right message. I mean, he loves Notre Dame, and he realizes what Notre Dame can do for these kids. And so I think he really sells that to the parents, and that's where especially the mother. You got to recruit the mother. Forget about that kid who's the All-America running back. You got mom, you got the kid. That's it, right there. And I think Marcus does a great job at that. And I'm 100% sold on him.
Minchie out of the shotgun, takes the snap, gives to Williams, running right, has the hole, and now he's off to the races, across the 40, 30, 20, he's going to go all the way, 54-yard touchdown run for Aeneas Williams, and the Irish are laying it on thick.
Tony Simeone on the Notre Dame Radio Network, a show-stopping win in the snow for the Irish last week. Well, it may not be snowing here in Pittsburgh today, thank the good Lord, but the Irish have ice in their veins, and they're ready to put it to use against the Panthers in just about 40 minutes' time. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. We are here with none other than Brian Driscoll. First time we've got him on the show, I think, all season long.
Oh, yeah.
Owner of Irish Breakdown. Brian, you told me a little nugget here before we went on the air. You literally coached just 5 minutes down the road here at Duquesne.
Yep. Been a while. It's been a minute. But, yeah, won a lot of games here. Hopefully can have another good win here today for Notre Dame.
Well, what a setting, though, along the river here for the Irish. It's been a couple of years since they've been here. First, let's talk about the defense under Chris Ash. Everybody was calling for his head early in the season, gave up yardage and points to Miami, gave up a lot of yardage and points to Texas A&M, and they've turned this thing around.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about the first 3 games, they're giving up about 34 points a game. In the 6 games since then, they're holding teams to 11.8 points per game. And if you take out the triple option team last week, teams are only rushing for about 75 yards a game. And that's been the biggest difference for Chris Ash, is that the really vastly improved run defense has played a huge role in their success.
How does the defensive secondary play into that, what you just said? The secondary's been playing better, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a big thing is, Marcus Freeman talked about this early in the year, is you've got to have a front that matches what you're doing in the secondary. So if you're being aggressive in your front, but you're playing off in the secondary, it allowed quarterbacks to get a lot of throws out quickly, neutralize the pass rush. So what they've done is they've been more aggressive, playing up tighter, take away the quick game, which then forces quarterbacks to hold on to the ball longer, and that's when the pass rush really takes off. And then a lot of the RPO checks in the run game, you have to kind of hand the ball off because they're taking away some of those RPO checks with their aggressiveness in the secondary. So it's really matching it together well.
Well, and you're seeing more aggressiveness along the front 4, too. You have Jaden Osbury, you have Boubacar Traore, who's made a name for himself over the past month, 2 months or so. And so Notre Dame has really been playing aggressive up front. Let's flip the ball. Let's now go to the offense. What style of game, if you're Notre Dame's offense, do you play here? Because, you know, the ACC, Pitt's right at the top in run-stop defense. Jeremiah Love comes into this, but you know if you're Pitt, you watch tape of the Miami game, you stack the box. What do you do if you're Notre Dame?
Well, I think the first thing is you're going to need to protect C.J. Carr. And Pitt's very good up front, very fast and athletic at linebacker. Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Bryles. They're number 1 in the country in fewest yards allowed per rush attempt. So the biggest thing you got to do is back them off. You know, take some of that. If they want to come up like Boise State did, like NC State did, then you're going to have to hit some shots down the field. You're going to need Malachi Fields to have a big day. You're going to need Jordan Faison to do some things after the catch. So if you can protect C.J. Carr, that's how you can soften them up and make them pay. A lot like 2015 when Pitt tried to come up and shut down C.J. Prosise and they hit a couple bombs over the top to Will Fuller. So it's a very similar game plan, but if the offensive line can protect C.J. like they have the last month, I think that's the plan. Soften Pitt up and then find different ways to get Jeremiah Love the football. It doesn't have to just be handoffs. You can throw them the ball in the run game. Arkansas tried to take the run game away, so they got Jeremiah and Jadarian the ball outside in space. I think you're just going to have to do things to kind of take advantage and go against the things that Pitt's trying to do that make them so good stopping the run.
Brian Driscoll, owner of Irish Breakdown, joining us. Thanks so much, man.
Yep.
When you talk, my head goes into like a whiteboard, and like we got to have you on again. Thanks so much. We'll be right back on ABC 57 Kickoff.
First down and goal. Carr takes the snap, gives it to Price, straight ahead, and he's in. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Jadarian Price puts the Irish back in front.
Another incredible Fighting Irish touchdown by one half of the dynamic duo in the backfield, Jadarian Price with the score. No doubt we will see that duo again today. It's the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish against the 22nd-ranked Pitt Panthers live at Acrisure Stadium. This is the home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Irish hope to make it the home of Notre Dame over the next few hours. Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. I'm Vahid Sadrzadeh alongside Talia Baya. Every week we crack open Marcus Freeman's playbook and give you a little bit of that behind the scenes of what you can expect the Irish are going to do. And Pitt comes in, this offense is rolling with their freshman quarterback, and 6 straight wins for the Panthers.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, Freeman's been proud of the team so far, especially with the special teams and the second guys who stepped up in the fourth quarter. Freeman basically said, if you're out there on the field, you're being held to the same standard as everybody else. He wants everyone playing with the same rhythm. That's why we saw a little bit of Kenny Minchie. I don't know if we're going to be seeing much of him today, but I asked what his main focus was earlier this week, and he said there wasn't a main focus. He said everything matters, everyone matters, and Pitt is not the team to slip up against.
It's just good followed up with good followed up with good, and that's what we have to do.
Freeman said he liked what he saw from all 3 phases and was proud of how his team also handled the weather. One big highlight for him was kicker Eric Schmidt, perfecting a new routine after some struggles. A perfect presentation of failing, fixing, and moving forward.
This new routine that he has, it has to become now the foundation for what he does moving forward.
Now, looking ahead to Pitt, Freeman sees a team playing with real confidence and momentum. They're 3rd nationally in rush defense and also averaging 37 points per game. That's 11th in the country.
Yesterday, somebody texted me, it's a trap game. I said, this is not a trap game. This is a challenge. This is a real challenge, a great challenge.
Freeman said he liked the physicality his defense showed in the second half against Navy. But this week, there's no single area of emphasis. Everything matters. Every phase, every detail, and every rep.
We got to have a great game plan. We got to continue to find ways to put our players in positions to succeed. Then we got to go to work that game plan. We got to struggle. We got to really prepare.
Freeman keeps going back to that phrase, good followed by good. To him, that means winning every play and staying consistent. All week, the team's been in the film room, cleaning up penalties, learning from each other, and sharpening the details.
Any man can learn from his own mistakes. It takes a wise man to learn from the mistakes of others.
He also wants more players willing to put themselves out there, saying great teams grow when players embrace toughness and accountability.
But I want to make sure that we're so close. We are intentional about building relationships. We trust each other because we've been through tough times together.
Today, well, with so much history here in what locals call the City of Champions, a nickname born from a series of championship victories by local teams, including Notre Dame legend Terry Hanratty, and the role that he had in making this a real championship town and city with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I threw the first touchdown pass at Three Rivers Stadium to Ron Shanklin, and they blew up the stadium. It's no longer there.
How was it playing along the riverfront there? And you know,
was horrible.
It was horrible. Windy.
That was fine. The field, that was back when they were testing AstroTurfs and trying to figure out how it works. Well, it didn't work back then because it was like a cement floor with about maybe an inch of padding, and there was a chemical in that artificial surface that when you got it in the cut, you got infected. So there was everybody was getting infected there. When they fall on the ground, they're gonna get that brush burn, and that chemical would seep into your system, and you have an infection going.
Wow.
So, and you had a lot of more separations and dislocations because you're falling down and you're popping a bone, as opposed to grass where you have more knee surgeries because your spikes are getting caught in there. But there's evils on both sides, I guess.
It's a special place to play football, and that downtown location, it's a pretty special one.
It is, and it's you're looking at a fan base that was starved for 40 years going back, right? And they've won nothing until the early 70s when we started our Super Bowl runs. And so you have those Pittsburgh people that are just in love with their Steelers. And it's wonderful because you walk into that stadium, you're lucky you're at home. Because it is, they can be nasty, they can be very loud. So it's wonderful for us, but it was not good for the opposing team coming in.
What do you think, Terry? Does this team get back into the playoffs? And if they do, how do you think they stand a chance against, Ohio State, Texas A&M again and some of those other teams this year?
Well, I think they have the talent to play with anybody. And they proved it the first two weeks of the season. I mean, they played two great teams and played them. They lost both, but they were, they're very close both games. 4 points, in those two games, win or loss. But they're going to find a real buzzsaw this week. It is going to be a hostile crowd, and if Marcus is somehow listening to this, he better get these kids ready, because these Pitt Panthers are, first of all, they're a good team, and they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, and they play good defense. And they're going to be at home, and it's going to be nasty. So they better get our team ready for that, because that's what's going to happen. But I think they have the better talent, Notre Dame. And if you just sort of keep your composure. See, I used to love playing on the road and get booed, because you don't boo bad players. You don't boo bad teams. So that's sort of like an applause. So when they start booing, you don't want to get them riled up. You almost want to tip your hat to them and say, thank you. You appreciate what I've done in the past, as a team and as an individual. So I used to love to play on the road. When you get booed, you go, wow, these people really like me here. Because that's the only reason they boo.
Is going to play fake and go for it all right out of the break. Going to the end zone. K.K. Smith is there in the back of the end zone. He caught it. Touchdown, Notre Dame. A quick strike, 34 yards, and the Irish have their 5th touchdown of the night.
We're just 16 minutes away from kickoff here at Acrisure Stadium in the North Shore. Pittsburgh along the rivers where they meet, and meeting today is Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. The Panthers come in on a hot streak. The Irish come in on a hot streak, both 7-2, and the Irish are on their way. They hope to a college football playoff berth, but they got to make it through this afternoon's game. Pete Sampson from The Athletic, Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated join me now here on the sidelines. Guys, we were just joking, but really, we're serious. A windy day today. The field, not the best. If you know Pittsburgh, this field gets torn up. Not a great day for the kicking game if you're Notre Dame. Let's start there.
Not a great day for the kicking game for Notre Dame most of this season, or at least of late. It's a do-no-harm situation, I think, for Eric Schmidt if you make all your extra points. If you make perhaps the one field goal that is inside 39, 40 yards, Notre Dame hasn't hit one outside 40 yards this year. One field goal and all the extra points, no kickoffs out of bounds. It's do no harm for Notre Dame's kicking game, I think, through regular season's end.
Pete, I mean, is Eric Schmidt the guy, the go-to guy now the rest of the season, or is he switching guys out if they make to the playoffs?
Well, if Noah Burnett gets healthy, then you have to go back to Noah Burnett. That's why you brought him in from North Carolina. But it's been such this ongoing injury where, we've seen these kinds of, Mitch Jeter last year, he was hurt essentially for 2 straight months, and then boom, he hits that field goal right at the halftime before Indiana or against Indiana, and then you're good to go. So I think the ideal situation is you have Noah Burnett in December, and Eric Schmidt can help get you there.
We've heard the chatter all week long. Let's put Narduzzi comments to the side for just a moment. But we've heard the chatter about Notre Dame joining a conference because they're mucking things up with the college football playoff. The rankings as they stand now, are they true to form? Do we think Notre Dame is getting the better end of this?
I think that they're fairly ranked today. By the end of tonight, it might, if they win tonight or today, but then you've got results in the SEC that if you're a Notre Dame fan, you want to see, does Alabama and Georgia win? If those 2 SEC teams win, then Texas and Oklahoma essentially are out. Notre Dame's in great shape there, maybe even to host. I feel like that's still a bit of a stretch, but I think Notre Dame at 9 right now. If I had to place a bet on where they finished in, first weekend of December, I think number 9 is probably where they end up.
But it's a tougher path then. You got on the road in Eugene and then maybe the Rose Bowl against Ohio State.
Well, you get no breaks at number 9 because you're on the road and you have the 1 seed. The break is 7 or 10. Now, the only way to get to 7 or 10 is, as Pete said, you got to get Texas and Oklahoma eliminated because you don't want more teams jumping you. Louisville cannot jump them now. Teams, everybody behind them, you got to assume someone like Georgia Tech's not going to make its way up there. But if it gets all mucked up with Oklahoma and Texas winning, that's a big problem for Notre Dame. If only one of them wins, I think things can still work out. But you're certainly not hosting a home game if you throw Texas in the mix along with Georgia and Alabama. They're not falling behind Notre Dame unless something goes wrong at the end of the year.
Yeah, first things first, get by Pitt. They've been on a roll. The freshman quarterback coming in and doing a number. But really, how good, I think these fans here, a sold-out stadium last time somebody from the organization told us there was 10,000 fans here last time. There's 60,000, 70,000 here today. How good really is Pitt?
That's a great question. I mean, we're going to find out because they just haven't been tested like Notre Dame is going to test them. Notre Dame's pass rush critical today. And I think that it's an interesting dynamic coming off the Navy game where you're playing a funky defense,
right.
A lot of 4-3. Christian Gray's not out there. Now you're nickel, you're dime because Pitt really likes to spread you out. So it's going to have to be a quick adjustment. Sort of getting up to speed for a pass-first offense is going to be critical for Notre Dame today.
It's a strange situation playing Pitt. They're setting up the pass with the run. Desmond Reed is back. He was a preseason All-American. We're told it's the healthiest he's been since October when he kind of shredded Florida State. But Notre Dame defensively against the run this year, other than a couple quarterback escapes, they don't give runs up over 12 yards. And Pitt is the same thing. Now, I think Notre Dame can hold true to form to that. Pitt's going to stuff Notre Dame's run quite a bit. However, when they don't, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price are going to have a lot of room, and that's not something Pitt has given up. I think it happens at least once from both of them today.
Well, the linebackers for Pitt are, they're healthy.
Yes.
And, they're fast. Those three guys in the middle can create some havoc and roadblocks for Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. But let's talk about that Notre Dame offense. We've seen it before. You stack the box, and you're going to make number 13 beat you. Tom Brady said this week he's comparing him a little bit to Joe Burrow. Now, listen, that's high praise for a freshman starter, but to have these type of games where you go in and have a chance at a national championship, he is going to have to play good football. And you come on the road in an NFL stadium, you're going to have to beat some teams with that throwing game. Does he do it again today?
I think he does. I mean, we were looking, I think it would be a season high for completions, season high for attempts for C.J. Carr today. 35 attempts. And it's kind of incumbent on Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, let C.J. Carr cook. Let him go out there and be this guy that Tom Brady thinks is a future pro. So that is critical today. That's trust Carr to win the game because I think he's good enough to do it, and the matchups will be there today.
And I think that includes in some certain situations goal-to-go issues that Notre Dame has had. Sometimes when you're going for it on 3rd and 1, you're going to go for it if you don't get it on 4th and 1. Maybe 3rd and down is a shot downfield because if it's tough sledding against Pitt running the ball. If you get it on 3rd and 1, you still probably have to drive 50 more yards. So sometimes that shot in a running situation is a way to trust C.J. Carr.
You guys think, I was hearing the podcast this week, and you think it's going to be a little tighter of a game, maybe not as high scoring for Notre Dame. Maybe a grinded out situation?
I could see it kind of a game where it breaks open in the third quarter. I think at halftime, Notre Dame fans could be very annoyed and frustrated on their couch at home. And by the end of the third quarter, you're just like, what was the problem? So I think it would be – and Notre Dame's played games like that. I mean, NC State was tight at half. Boise State was not super clean in the beginning. And Notre Dame has a way of blowing it open in the second half. I think that's kind of how the dynamics today are going to go too.
Pitt gets down to the red zone a lot, but they don't score touchdowns. Well, today they're also missing their stand-up freshman kicker, Trey Butkowski. That hurts them. They're high red zone visits, low red zone touchdown percentage. So if Notre Dame can keep them empty in the red zone, I think that's huge going into this contest.
Well, there's nothing more than I want to see of the combination of Jeremiah Love getting his touches for the Heisman Trophy as he's making that push and a Notre Dame blowout win. We'll just take a Notre Dame win for now. It keeps the season going. Guys, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks,
Pete Sampson, Tim O'Malley joining us here on ABC 57 Kickoff. We'll be right back with X Factors and final predictions and the start of Notre Dame and Pitt.
Out there, we are definitely going to be mild for mid-November standards with a lot of cloud cover, but the rain should stay away. We should see a little bit of some breezy conditions as well, but not as bad as the Boston College game a few weeks ago. But that wind gusting at about 20 miles per hour out of the southwest could have an impact on the kicking game, especially with those injuries and issues for both teams at the kicking position. But the rain should stay away until after the game, which is really, really nice for Notre Dame. It has been a tough weather season so far. Hopefully a little bit better today. Back to you guys in Pittsburgh.
Hey, thanks so much. A bit windy here today. It's time for our X Factors and our final predictions. Let's first go, Talia, to Irish legend and Pittsburgh Steeler champion Terry Hanratty, see who he had to say for his X Factor.
The tight end will make the difference in the game. I think if Mike goes to the tight end, and I think maybe they're holding that back, that they're not going to, they haven't been throwing him lately. But I think that could be the X factor this week.
I'll tell you, we both like the defensive backfield.
Oh, absolutely. And for my X Factor, I got Luke Talladge, safety. He's 6'4". He has 3 interceptions on the year. That's the same amount as Leonard Moore. So I don't know why he doesn't get as much credit. He also had that stop on the 4th and 2nd against Boston College. So hopefully he'll come out big tonight.
Well, 3 is my number for turnovers today. I think the freshman quarterback who's been doing excellent for Pitt Panthers, he's loose with the ball. He's thrown 5 interceptions in 6 games, and he has more turnovers today. One of them goes to Adon Schuler. I like Adon Schuler, number 8, as my X Factor. Now time for our final score predictions. Terry Hanratty, how do things go today between the Irish and Pitt?
It's going to be close. There's no blowout coming this week. I mean, we got to really, really pay attention to these Panthers because they're a good football team, and it's going to be very difficult. But I would say something like 27-21, something like that, 27-24 in that era. And they're both going to be in the 20s, and hopefully we got 1 point better.
All right, Talia, I had like buyer's remorse when giving our final score predictions because I'm like, wait, no. And then I listened to the Irish Illustrated podcast, and I'm like, wait, those guys are picking him in the 30s. What do you got this week?
All right, my final score is 34-21, and I know Narduzzi said he doesn't care if he has 100 points, but I think they're both going to start a little slow, and then Notre Dame's going to pull away in the second half like they usually do, and so expect them to win.
So 34, you actually have Notre Dame kicking the football today then?
Yes, sir. Eric Schmidt, maybe my second X Factor. I mean, I love him. He went 7 for 7.
So, well, okay. So here's the deal. I talked to Chris Bassick before the game started, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, a great day for kicking, huh? How about those cleats?" And he's laughed at me. He literally laughed at me about that question. He's like, "It is a nasty field." He's like, next week they have 5 high school games. Tomorrow's an NFL game here. This is noted for being one of the worst fields in the NFL because it gets torn up so darn much. But I'm taking...
Looks nice.
Well, it looks nice from here.
It's not too bad.
I'm taking Notre Dame 44-17. You don't need the kicking game when you have Jadarian Price and a Heisman Trophy candidate in Jeremiah Love. The Irish get it done today. Enjoy the game. We'll catch up with you afterwards. For Talia Baya, I'm Vahid Sadarzadeh for another edition of ABC 57 Kickoff. Go Irish. Enjoy the game. We'll see you after the broadcast.